Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
This is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome our distinguished speaker, Jay.
I just want to do what everybody else did. Okay. My name is Jay. I'm an alcoholic. Okay. Wow, somebody bought me a double. I thank God, my higher power, Alcoholics Anonymous. This fellowship is incredible. Hey, stop that. Okay. I'm very grateful to be alive, to say anything. I'm very grateful to you all to come on out here tonight. And a couple of disclaimers. I'm probably going to say fuck a few times. I'm probably going to speak about drugs a few times. And yeah, and I'm probably going to talk about rock and roll. Sex. Oh yes. Oh, fuck. Sex. Oh. No violence, Jimmy. But thank you. Jimmy keeps getting those acid flashbacks. He's been sitting here for years. We don't know. Rock and roll is, I have to, that's my story. I can't tell anybody else's story. I couldn't remember it. It's, if you don't like what I have to say, blame Eric. All right, so that's about all the disclaimers I could think of. I think that I've always been alcoholic. I didn't know a lot of stuff, and I thought I did. I was singing on a radio show in New York City when, oh yeah, I haven't always been this old. I was younger once. And so anyway, when I was a kid, I was singing on a radio show on NBC Radio and at 2.5. So I did one thing and for a long, long time. And I've traveled the world touring. I didn't sleep for about 25 years. I formed a band called Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. So we sold 40 million records, and there's nothing like the rush of having a #1 record when you're 28 years old and you're touring the world, and I got to experience that, and that's why I say I didn't go to bed except for recreational purposes for 25 years. I got high for 45 years. I didn't come in these rooms until I was 61 years old. Nobody could get backstage to get to me to say, Jay, you're an alcoholic. I wouldn't have believed them anyway. I snorted Peru. I like scotch, and scotch was always, underneath every glass of scotch was a bindle for me, because I would drink my scotch and then I'd want to go in the other direction. And I like I say, I think I've always been an alcoholic. I don't know if anybody ever had anisette, but a Sicilian woman gave me some anisette when I was about 7 years old, and I've loved the taste of licorice ever since. It tastes like licorice, you know. And so now I go out and it's, you know, the best I can do these days is buy black licorice and reminisce. But in the 60s, before Dr. Hook, there's a country singer by the name of Brenda Lee, and I was her drummer. And you know that song, "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree"? That's Brenda. And so I went from New York City down to Nashville, where they don't cotton too well to New Yorkers. And I didn't cotton too well to grits either, so you know they didn't know what the fuck to make of me, and vice versa. So, but anyways, I was playing drums with Brenda, and we were on the road, and one of the players in the band said, "Jay, did you ever do a Benzodrex inhaler?" I said, "What?" He said, "A Benzodrex inhaler, truck drivers do them." I said, "No, man, let's do it." So we stopped at the truck stop, and in the 60s they sold these things. I don't know what they do with them now, but so we bought one of them. And he says, "Come on, let's go in the men's room." So we went in the men's room. He broke up. It's like a Vicks inhaler, you know, except with these other ingredients. And he broke the plastic thing, and it was a long cotton, stink like camphor. And he cut it in half. He said, "Okay, now put it in your mouth." And I put it in my mouth, and I swallowed it. He said, "No, whatever you do, don't swallow it." I was up for 7.5 days. Belching camphor the whole fucking time, like a human hope chest. It was horrible. And I'd be on stage, you know, we'd be playing, and and they'd go, "Oh, Jay, Christ, and so if that's not alcoholic, I'm not exactly sure. So some of you have heard some of my story, and so if one of the guys in my band lost an eye in a car crash in Dr. Hook, Ray Sawyer. He lost an eye. He was up for most of a week on these pills called Black Beauties. And, yes, some of you, okay. He had a sock full and was in a car crash and lost his right eye. And he got a glass eye, and because he's from Mobile, Alabama, he decided it'd be a good idea to get the Stars and Bars, the Confederate flag, for an eyeball. And it was the most ungodly thing you've ever seen in your life. If you ever seen a little star, Jesus Christ, Ray, lose the eyeball. So he did. He lost the eyeball, and he got a patch. Which, if you see pictures of the band, you'll see Ray with a patch, which he still wears to this day. We found that we did a lot of songs about drugs, and you know you have to have product knowledge to do songs about drugs, and so we were going into Canada one time, and they said, "You guys are all going to get busted, so don't anybody bring anything." And we thought that the best idea to do was to take the stash and put it in Ray's socket. You know, you can get pretty high with what you can keep in a socket. So that's what we did, you know. And Ray would break it out at the sound check in whatever country we were in, and people would go, "Oh man, oh God," you know. But you know, chop it up, baby. Let's, you know. So you know, I've been arrested. I've been arrested for obscenity, for saying motherfucker on stage. We had a song called Sylvia's Mother, and we got tired of singing Sylvia's Mother, so we sang Sylvia's Father, said, "I'm going to kill you, you motherfucker." And they arrested us in Dothan, Alabama, one lane in, one lane out, and these people actually had a roadblock. They wouldn't let us out of town. It's all crazy. It was crazy. Life was crazy. And I got drunk and quit, and everybody thought it was a good idea. I put a band together with David Crosby, And we toured, and David had a hobby at the time, and I shared that hobby with him, and I was the only witness to his bust in Dallas. It was me that had to tell the crowd the show couldn't continue because it occurred halfway between the acoustic set and then the electric set, and that's when the bust went down, and he went to jail for it. And it started him on the path to sobriety, which is most wonderful. My path to sobriety was, I thought you guys you have like a cup of soup or something and sing hymns. I really didn't know what AA was about. And as one as arrogant as me, I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know. And I didn't realize that, I didn't realize from going and playing in front of 500,000 people to being homeless and living in a mobile home in the forest with no electricity and no plumbing for 6 months. And it was okay with me as long as I was high. It was all right. I always thought that I would wind up in the Tenderloin because I was up in the Bay Area for 35 years. I always thought I'd wind up in the Tenderloin sitting on a street corner just waiting to die. And I tried my damnedest to do that. I tried like hell. We're told that when I first came in these rooms and I had the pink cloud, I felt as if I had the gates of heaven opened up and let me in. As my sobriety has continued, I realized that wasn't exactly what happened. What happened was the gates of hell opened up and let me out. So, pain in life is, in my life, this is only my own opinion, pain in human existence will happen for all of us, but suffering is optional. We don't have to suffer, but I sure did. Like I said, I got high for 45 years, and coming in at 61 with the emotional mentality of a 16-year-old, it's very interesting. You should try and collect Social Security when you're still a teenager. It's fucking amazing, you know. But I pass as an adult, so it's not too bad. But I've never passed as normal, however. And a gal said to me one time, she said, "Jay, you're an alcoholic," and I was very upset. I am like hell. Don't you fucking call me an alcoholic. Me? I am not. I like to get high occasionally, but I'm no alcoholic. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was winos crawling on a, you know. I mean, on tour with Crosby, we would order, you can order what you want on tour, and so I decided to order a half a gallon of Crown Royal for some reason, and just because I could, and the arrogance, you know. So every gig we went, there was a half a gallon of this Crown Royal. Nobody drank it, but so we were riding along in New York City one New Year's Day, and it was snowing, and we had a bus, and this poor guy came out and he was wiping the windows down in the snowstorm, you know, of the bus and stuff. And I opened the door and I gave this guy 2.5 gallons of Crown Royal, you know, and he wept. It was, you know, oh, he sat on the curb and he was so, you know, that's what I thought alcoholism was. I didn't really know that. On that same bus ride, we decided to go into Brooklyn to get some pizza. And Elton, our roadie, knew where there was a pizza place that was open. He said, "It's the best pizza in Brooklyn, and it's open on New Year's Day." So here we are at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's snowing, and we're walking to go get pizza in the street, and Crosby's got no fucking shoes on. Walking in his socks, you know, we're really high. We went driving through the Holland Tunnel. The tour bus, we would get the top 10 porn flicks, and we would sitting there and watching porn and snorting lines on a table, and I look over and there's a commuter bus. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going through the Holland Tunnel, and these people are standing on the bus and look. You know, what else are you going to do? You know, there's 75 people looking at you. Commuters. Rock and roll is very dangerous, but not as dangerous as the life that I went all the way downhill, and I can regale you with these stories, and I certainly have them. But what's really true is I wouldn't be here to share these stories with you if it were not for my higher power and these 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous that saved my life. God chose, I went to a place called Eaton Canyon for rehab, and this gal said, Jay, you've been talking to me for an hour and 45 minutes and you haven't even stopped to breathe. Are you an addict? And I thought I'd be saying no and denying it as usual. Instead, what I said was, yes, I am. And those words didn't really come from, I don't feel they came from me, but I was reaching out despite myself. So I had insurance, Lloyd's of Compton. I don't know if you've heard of Lloyd's. Yeah, Lloyd's of Compton. You call Lloyd's and he says, hello, this is Lloyd's of Compton. Lloyd speaking. So anyways, I went to Eaton Canyon. I thought Eaton Canyon was Eden Canyon. I thought, oh, that's going to be cool. So I came down from Marin County to Eden Canyon, and I found out it was Eaton Canyon, and they took no prisoners. And I was there for 30 days, and they said, no, we can't let you go. You should stay. And so I did. I stayed there 45 days, and I wondered about the people I came in to speak. I wondered about the gleam in their eye, and I wondered about that. I used to eat out of dumpsters, and now I'm teaching college. And I was thinking to myself, well, how the fuck did that happen? What? Are you bullshitting? But they weren't. These Alcoholics Anonymous has never lied to me. Nobody's ever lied to me. I mean, about our program. So I did 45 days, came out, was crazy as a bedbug. Like I said, came on down from Marin County, Northern California, down here to do this rehab. And then I went, and I was living with this young lady, and I was out of my mind. 45 days. I thought I was cured about 40 days into it, you know what I mean? But I was like this, And they said, I was going outpatient, was I ever? And they said, Jay, you seem a little angry. Oh, yeah, well, fuck you. See, I'm the kind of guy that if people would say, hey, Jay, have a great weekend, don't tell me what to do. A punk-ass, arrogant kind of guy. I still am. It's just that I've been afforded the opportunity to take a look at my life and see how much of a jerk I can really be and what I'm capable of that way. So it was suggested that I go to sober living, and God chose fit to put me in a sober living with 19-year-olds and me. Genesis Sober Living. It's for musicians and stuff. And so I didn't like young people. I didn't like their music. I don't. You know what I mean? Just full of fear, resentment, and all the rest of it. Walking around saying to these kids, rap music is an oxymoron. And them saying, what are you talking about? So God chose me to go in this place with all these young kids. I've grown to love them. I've never stopped going there. In fact, I wound up managing Genesis House for a few years. And in doing these steps, I've always believed in God. I just didn't believe in the Catholic version that I felt was shoved down my throat. Not that I'm anti-Catholic, but at all. I was the kid at 8 o'clock Mass in grammar school that used to lead the prayers in the name, because I that's what I did. And but my mother said to me, Jay, why don't you come back to the church? Come to Mass with me. It's in English now. That's how far gone. I had left for 40 years. And so my mom took me to Mass, and I went to, she says, it's a folk Mass with guitars, and they sing, and tambourines, and I went, oh, cool. But it was very, very nice. And at the end, the pastor came down with about 35 parishioners, including my mother, because I stood at the back door, you know, and they came, and he said, John, which is my real first name, he said, John, we're so glad to have you back in the church. What did you think of our folk Mass? And I couldn't help it. I said, the guitars were out of tune. And the Pope should buy you a strobe tuner. And I had to leave. And so I left, and it's funny shit. I went with my mother to a petting zoo that day, and a goat bit me. I don't know what that means, but I never tell a priest he needs a strobe tuner, I guess. But so I'm at Genesis House, and I'm working on my fourth step, and now, like I said, it's 19-year-olds and me, and I'm climbing up my little ladder to my bunk bed and shit, you know what I mean? And I realized as I wrote down, and I thought I completed my fourth step, that I hadn't written about myself. I wrote about what you did to me and my part in it and all the rest of it. I hadn't put myself down. Where was I in this? It's back down the fucking ladder I go. And I wrote it all out. I did my fifth step the following day with my sponsor, and I had an awakening. I had an awakening, and I said to the head of the house that next day, now I can feel what you guys are feeling, that the liberation of the soul sickness that I have, that I'm sure that maybe we all feel. I know I certainly did. I saw some pictures of myself back in those days, and I looked like I was dying. I went and completed my steps, and I don't think I'm a very good sponsor. My sponsor tells me, Jay, that's bullshit. You're just looking for a way out. And I don't know as that's true or not. So I try and be of service in different ways, such as being the secretary of this meeting. I went to Skid Row last Sunday. I've been making that announcement for the past 2 months, and it's a fundraiser once a year for Skid Row, and our seventh tradition got almost $4,200 for those folks. And we brought food and clothing, and so I try and be of service in different ways. What life is like today for me is I stay very close to this program. I cannot. I relapsed. I relapsed at 64 years old. I didn't relapse on scotch and cocaine, but this girl that I was with, I just was starting to steal her Xanax, you know, and I stole them for about 2 months or something. And when we split up, I went back to Genesis House as an esteemed former manager and sat at our men's stag, which is held in the house, and began to weep because I realized I could not, I took a dirty cake at 3 years. I wasn't being honest with myself. And if I couldn't get honest with myself, if I didn't admit to what was really so, I was gonna go out and finally get back to the drugs that are my favorites. So I did. So, and now I've got 1,967 days of sobriety. It's 5 years and change right now. So, like I say, I need to stay real close because I've come to trust in my higher power because I'm a fuck up. I'm a fuck up. I clean up pretty well, but I'm a fuck up, and I need to. People like Mickey will call me on my bullshit, and I won't know that it's bullshit. And there was a time for most of my life that I would argue back and lobby to get my own way, and I'm reasonably persuasive. And but when people like Mickey or others of you in this room say something that is absolutely so, I now back away. I've learned to back away. And I think that surrender is what my sobriety is, what folks like this have taught me, is that sobriety is a constant series of backing away and surrendering. I don't ever get it. I haven't been cured at 3 o'clock yesterday. There is no goal line to cross over. It is a process. It is not a finish line. I hate cliches, but I only hate them because they're true, and I no longer hate them. I love them because I see the value in them. I see how they have come to be cliches. All of the ones that we all know: let go, let God, keep coming back. That's very profound. That's very profound for one such as myself. That when I first came to meetings, when I was in a rehab. We went to an NA meeting, and some guy said, "You're so old." I went, "Well, that's right. Fuck you and fuck me. How do I get out of here?" So I'm the type that looks for ways to take your inventory, not take my inventory, find a way to not take any responsibility for anything, and glide. And when I had to do work, I just got so wired that I could do, I mean, I would get so loaded that I would do an hour and a half set in 55 minutes. That's how fast I was going. The guys in the band would go, "Jay, this is a ballad. What are you fucking doing?" This program has given me a resource. I can only speak for myself. I'm going to be 70 in a couple of months. You know what I mean? And I feel like reborn in a sense that I have some tools now that I can live life, it's fantastic. There's a new career that I've begun. I've gone back to school. I'm the oldest member of the class, but I've gone back to school. Jesus, I did a solo CD. There's a video that's being edited of that solo CD. There's a whole bunch of new stuff that's occurring. And so I don't know what God has in store for me, but I know I need to be very diligent and do my part. It's like you can wish for potatoes and pray for potatoes, but somebody's going to have to dig the hole. So I got to do my work, and my work is I have a child bride that I met here in this room, and we shall have been married 2 years in about a week. And we say the 3rd step prayer together every morning and every night, and the 7th step prayer and the serenity prayer and our own individual prayers. Neither one of us is afraid to kneel down. And I'm still a jerk. Don't get me wrong. I still, I'm a jerk. I'm a human being, and this human being can be a jerk. And but I have some tools to unjerk myself. Sounds like a felony, doesn't it? Yeah. I'm going to have one of these. Hang on for a minute. Talk to yourselves for a minute. Okay. You guys are great. The people that have commitments at this meeting have been absolutely wonderful. It's amazing to see. I've seen people come in and flop on the floor, and I've seen people that want to fight and everything else. And you know, for those of us that have a daily grasp on some tools to help each other, I think I heard Mickey say that the higher power that we have it collectively here in this room. Don't you feel it? Can you feel it tonight? I can feel it. I can feel we here together. We'll never have this night like this together as a group with each one of us again. So that's a magical thing that we have here right now, and next week will be again another experience. But to come into this room, these walls, if these walls could talk, they would sing and groan like a motherfucker. But they would laugh too, wouldn't they? This is like sitting in your living room or your kitchen with a bunch of your best friends, and talking and sharing. I'm going to finish up by saying that I love you all very, very much. You guys have saved my life. And I'm gonna leave you now, and thank you very, very much. Okay, right, thanks.
Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with, and it's actually controlled through the iPhone through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst and one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.